So here we are. Good morning, Lars.
Good morning, Jasper.
Very, very welcome in this interview show again. And you asked if Nalia could also drop in, and she will be present in the interview. Maybe she comes also with the video, but then people, if they see this, then they know that, hello, Nalia.
Hey.
Hello. That's great. It's great to have you here too.
Yeah.
Welcome. Okay, Lars, very special. It's for me very special again to be able to interview you. I want to introduce you first for the people who do not know you yet. And I want to do that with this book. This is one of your beautiful books, the O Manuscript. And I want to start with introducing you with this book because this has meant a lot for me, and I think for a lot of people. And it was in a period when I was going through a dark time myself, as the world is going through a dark time. And I could not read at that time, and my wife has read this book to me. And for me, it was a beautiful opening into magic, into healing, and of course into the field of Jeshua and Maria Magdalena, because you open up. How do you say it correctly? Well, you open up the world of Jeshua Maria Magdalena in a way that you would never read it anywhere else. It's more like the truthful original story of Jeshua being part of the Essenes, being part of a mystery school, Maria Magdalena being a priestess. And so this has meant a lot for me. It has opened up these dimensions for me. So I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful to speak to you. Most of our interview today, we will be speaking about this book. All your covers are extremely beautiful. I think you do that on purpose. I would like to know that, but they are amazing. And this is one of your new books, and it will be published very soon, also in a Dutch translation.
Yeah.
Yeah, in December it will be out, and you can already pre-order it, but first we will speak about it. Can you say, how did this book come about? When did you start writing this book, and how did you gather all this inspiration about this beautiful book, The Light Within a Human Heart?
Like everything I do, it's something that it has some kind of uh, pregnancy to it, that I can go for a long time and things are coming in and developing, and then suddenly I feel now it's a time to sit down and write it all down. And that's also with this book. You see, it's in many ways all my books is about the same thing. It's just developing more and more and hopefully being more and more precise.
Hmm.
So, and more without too many things that should not be there. So for me, writing is a process of also of being, what do you call it, or purifying uh, myself and my being, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment I sit down and write, I will just start to write and whatever comes in. This book is, of course, a little bit special because it is it's telling the story about me going to Israel and working with a small film crew about the language of Yeshua, a film about the language of Yeshua, the Aramaic language.
Yes.
So it was in many ways easier because I had this form that I could hang on to.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, a lot of things happened that the next thing is to find words that people can understand and not to make it too mystical, but
Mm-hmm.
to reveal things that or else are not put into words.
Yeah.
That's also one of my tasks, I feel, and I get help from different people in different situations. All people I meet mean something.
Mm-hmm.
Not the same, of course, but like Nalia, who is present with us today have meant a lot for my writing for the past 2 years.
Wow.
Also very much in the translation into different languages,
Mm.
but also to help me focus and focus on what is important here.
Mm-hmm.
Have a sentence and maybe I tend sometimes to be too masculine in my way of writing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and sometimes a little bit rigid.
Mm.
I sometimes I want to be too. So working with Nalia have been like they have come this it has mirrored this feminine side in me that is also there as it is in all men, of course.
Yeah.
Mm. So in that way, it has helped me a lot, and I've
Wow.
been a
Wonderful.
part of the writing. Yeah, very
And
good.
very special that you are here, Nalia. And yeah, thank you. And maybe later on, I would like you to speak too and say something about this process and being part of this process of the
Yeah,
creating. And yeah, great. Thanks for being present. And what you say, Lars, of course, a lot of what you write about and what Joshua Maria Magdalena were and are about, is that not also about balancing the feminine and masculine qualities? And is it not also something very important in these days in the world where it has gone much into the masculine energies?
indeed.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. But I feel, what is have been very, very present in my life is that my connection with the feminine aspect through the women, a few women that I have met, have always been like guiding me. Also, not always conscious, in a conscious way from their side too. But I feel that as time have come by and I have matured, I have also earned the right to meet some women or girls that are adding more to the process than I did before.
Yeah.
You know, and I
Yeah.
think it's to me there's it. I can go back in my writing and see specific how that process have evolved through all my books. It's from my very first book up to now. It's present there. The
Wow.
feminine uh,
Wow.
thing is present. I think that's what does the difference that a lot of people are when they read it they feel a very very common reaction is, oh, that's exactly how I feel,
Mm-hmm.
this is how I see it. Or and when you get that recognition, it's overwhelming for many people. They think, because a lot of people who are working with spirituality, they find themselves alone in the process.
Yeah.
Too many people. And I think some of the work that Nalia and I are trying to do, and I have been also doing before, is to try to tell people, first and foremost, they are not alone, two, that they are already enlightened.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of using so much energy of running around and away from oneself, you can
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
go inside because it's already there. You don't have to go to the east or to the wherever you
Yeah.
think it is already there. Of
Yeah.
course, you can get some inspiration from going places, that no doubt about it. But I think a very, very important message is that please sit down and try to look inside.
Yeah,
This,
great. And here you touch something very important when you talk about the Bible and the way the story about Jesus and God and everything has been presented to worldwide to all the people is that there is a God outside of you and it is masculine and it will punish you when you're wrong. And it has led you away from the inside. And your story that you're bringing is go back.
I see, it is, I, and I'm not claiming that I understand to read the people better or deeper than other people. But to me, when I open that, the Bible, the Old Testament, for example,
Mm-hmm.
all that thing, you know, I try to look through it through the psychology of the Aramaic understanding of things.
Mm-hmm.
And we should remember these writings are 2,000 to 3,000 years old, which means that it's a whole other way of perception and seeing things and also to describing things. And if you don't understand that, you would not really understand what is written there.
Mm-hmm.
So that has also been a process that in another new book that is coming up out in next April, The Sacred Number of Initiation, where Nalia have been working on Old Testament prayers from the book of Psalms, for example, and transforming them into our time, you know. And that is really the heart of the matter, to understand that if there's so many people claiming that the Bible is a special book, it is of course for different reasons. But when you, for example, have met some rabbis who are not ultra orthodox or anything, and they tell you how it should be read, you go into the Jewish perception of things that Jesus or Yeshua was part of, and that makes a whole lot of a difference, a huge difference.
Yeah, can you tell more about this? It would be good to
You
dive
know,
a little bit
yeah,
more into this.
it's all metaphors. You know, everything in the Old Testament is the stories are made up of people who actually lived, but now are being used as archetypes that will tell something about you and me and everybody else who read that. But if you don't understand it, you know, it will just be, you just think, it doesn't make any sense. And why all this rigidity and all this, the God who wants to punish you and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But we need to understand there's many, many layers in the Bible that is not yet understood. And that's a whole
Mm.
other story that we don't want to go into now.
Yeah.
But you see, part of that book that we are going to talk about today, there's actually a voice coming through from that time or that area called the Book of Asaph, which
Yes.
represents something that happened to me when I visited that cave 4, in which most of the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, and about which the scribe of the Course in Miracles called the holiest place on earth.
Yes.
And of course, for some reason, because 3 years before she came there and visited the place, she had a vision about that cave. She did not know where that cave was in the Holy Land, but when she came there and saw it, she just broke down and cried and said, "This is the place." You know?
Yeah.
So there's no doubt also she felt very connected to the Essenes, and she also had a feeling she was buried there in their cemetery of
Sorry?
the.
Sorry?
She was buried in the cemetery of the Essenes. So it is a very special place.
Yeah.
And of course, for those who have a connection to it, like I have, going there and visiting this cave, meditating and going deep in, and then suddenly a voice come through and start to deliver some messages. And that is very much part of the book. It has its own chapters, you could say, where the book of Asaph has other colors of the pages.
Yeah.
So you know, when you go into that, now another one is talking there.
Yeah. So you say the book of Asaph, and what is that? What is that? Because when people hear these words,
Asaph is a character from the book of Psalms. He wrote some of the Psalms there. He's also supposedly a former incarnation of Yeshua,
hmm
and he's part of the order of the Melchizedek that we can also read about in the Old Testament and other places.
yeah,
So it's into a certain tradition that I feel very much connected to, and to go in there and in this lifetime understand so much more about it than I probably did at the time, because at that time I was only a scribe. I was not a philosopher or or a seer or anything. I was just a scribe.
Yeah, yeah. So you visited this cave 4, as you say. It's in Qumran, and there's a very special story, of course, about this cave. It's not just a cave. You already say it. It's the
It's a
holiest place.
man-made cave. The scrolls were found in 11 caves, and cave number 4 is very close to the university, or where the university was for the Essenes, and it was made for a certain purpose, to go 40 days in the desert.
Exactly.
So Yeshua had probably been sitting there, and
Yeah.
for sure John the Baptist.
Mm-hmm.
But we should also understand that some of the things in the book, that is also something that is very, very important for me to stress, is that Yeshua was in a way the first new man in our area,
Yeah.
in that way that he started to, being educated by the Essenes was very rigid. He had actually a woman teacher there, but he was not. They did not expect him to go out in public and start to share their secrets with common people,
Yeah.
and they did not expect him to do it together with a woman in equality. So that's another thing that is also in the book and very important, not only in my description of Jeshua and Mariam, as I've done before, but also in my personal life. Like that Nalia is also very much part of that writing in the book. And there is when that female Messiah, you could say, are speaking in the book. When I did that speech, it was from the best of my knowledge and from the best of my feeling when I did it. But that had been co-written now by Nalia, that speech, So because if you don't invite that in, the feminine in, or just talk about it, but don't invite it in. But of course, it cannot be just anyone. It needs to be someone who are in the total frequency of what you are trying to achieve and what you want to speak about,
Yeah.
So in that way, it becomes very genuine.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of people can misunderstand that if they want to, but
you will always have that, but you feel the genuinity when you're speaking. I find it so special that you've invited Naleea, and I would like to ask you something, Naleea, because when you talk about this, Lars and Naleea, that Jeshua actually had the courage to go about and bring the teachings to all the people, and with a woman. I feel so much the resonance about what you're doing now, to just be open and speak about that. You're not writing these books alone. You're writing, there's so much help actually from Nalia and from this feminine side. So Nalia, can you say something about your role in this process, and how did you get in contact with this magnificent fields of energy of Jeshua, Maria? Did it always play a part in your life, and how is this for you?
Oh, that's many questions at once.
That's true.
About the book. I have been working with Lars as his German translator for a while, and I know him many years before that already. Again, as well through the own manuscript, as I felt when it came to me in a very miraculous way, so to speak, and that's a long story. But I felt immediately that I feel connected on the light lines with the presence that is as well talking through his voice or his books. And that was like a home frequency for me. So I immediately felt like I would like to support the work and connect. I was living in London at that time, connect him with different ways where there could be workshops or things like that, many years ago. And then many years later, I have been starting to, when the books came out in German, to translate workshops. And although I'm not a translator, but because I feel the resonance. So coming now to your questions, yes, I have been always feeling very connected to this essence. It's a unity consciousness for me that I feel Yeshua and Mariam have been bringing, or are still bringing, to the world. And I think that there's many people who are doing that right now as well, alone or not alone, that doesn't matter. But it's to me, there's a lot of access to this unity or this togetherness of the male and female, and that understanding or that opening of the doors that this should be inside of each one of us.
Yes.
And so I don't know, it started, I think, with the work to shift into the books, because I have been receiving the God formula as well as the manuscript, and then we started just structuring it a little bit. So I'm German, so to take the joke out of that I'm very structured mind, and so that can help sometimes, because I feel actually my worry was always, am I too structured? So I always said to Lars, please tell me if I structure too much, so to speak. But that was kind of what I brought to the table. And as well that because through the work with him before, I just know what he wants to say or what needs to be said, so to speak. Yeah. So that's part of the editing way of knowing the frequency, or knowing what is meant, and not just looking at, so to speak, with the cold eyes, but with a warm heart, and or like switched on soul, or to really be in the field. To be said. And regarding the light within a human heart, that really that was such a wonderful process, really, of being allowed into to just follow, like, for example, with the speech, like Lars said, it felt just too masculine. It felt like, and I always try to be gentle then with with what I suggest, but sometimes I just repeat it again and again, and I was very grateful that it was heard. And I find the same, like you, I find it extraordinary to allow another view, another point of view, and it was a wonderful process.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. Great. It feels very special. And so when we go back to the book, or talk a little bit more about the book, you go to the essence. In the book, we go to the essence, to the higher self, to the heart, and there's one of the things that you talk about. It's the power of prayer. And I opened the book here, and one of the prayers is, Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. Where there's injury, pardon, and so on. Lots of people know this beautiful prayer. Can you say something, Lars, about the power of prayer and how it can work for us to come closer to ourselves?
Yeah, one thing is that, of course, when you start out on the path of prayer, it's very much about a sentence or a series of words that you try to project out. But one thing is the words and the sounds, but it's also really to become one with what you really. I found out for me that why to ask myself that question: why am I asking this? What is it I want from this? And then in the end, to me, prayer now is more of not so much about. It is about intention, and it is about surrendering. And it is about doing, to walk the talk, so that the prayer become manifested in the supermarket or wherever you are in your everyday life. So that's very much my way of looking at prayer or praying.
Yeah.
There's so many other ways, of course, but I think it's really important to stress that if you are just projecting some words without really knowing what you are doing, just repeating something like, there's some people in different religions that have to do the same thing 5 times, 8 times a day or whatever, without even knowing what they're thinking anymore. It becomes like tapestry, it just disappears and become nothing really.
Yeah, very empty.
Disappears aware. So it's very important for me I'd rather not do it if I'm not present.
Yeah.
Because to me, presence is the thing, in anything, whatever you do.
Yeah.
So
Can
yeah.
you pray to anything? The old thought about prayer is, oh God, please give me a new car or something. But and something outside you. But what you already say, it's really about connecting. So
If you have any thought about what is God to you,
mhm,
that's where to start. And for
yeah,
me, that's really the highest form of consciousness that is everywhere,
hmm,
everywhere.
yeah,
And
that's good to address that.
to the end of the universe and outside the universe, other universes, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And so when you connect to that, you connect to your higher self, if you can let the ego or the little self rest for a moment. And it becomes really genuine when when you have asked yourself, what is it I want from this? And it will always be something about not being here for your own sake, And if you're going through a hurtful period or longing or something, it can be very healthy to go start to look at other persons and other, instead of being self-absorbed in your own pain and to suddenly see, oh, there's actually other people too who is also struggling with something,
Hmm.
and suddenly you can transform it.
Wow. Yeah.
So I also want to what we were talking about before about Nalia, that whatever she brought to the table before we met, we or started to work together, which was very much as translating the German thing. Through that translating work, all the workshops we did in Germany and the German books and stuff, that's also a way of merging, of connecting,
Yeah.
because you know how, and I think from that also Nadia um, understood many things of the way I was trying to express things, and then adding the feminine to it.
Yeah.
So
And what do you
that's
see as the key thing you bring with the books and with all the workshops? You're going to give 2 wonderful workshops in the Netherlands very soon,
mm,
17 December in Baarn and 18 December in Roermond and Roermond, and people can come. Of course, I guess it's all about this same thing, reconnecting with the divine source also within. Is that so, or what is your key thing that you bring?
it is very much to. I feel that we are standing at a crossroad now. And I also feel that there is really a positive thing in the midst of all the darkness that are also surround us. But more and more people are feeling the call listening and hearing and starting to look other places, and not just get out of the everyday tum-rum, and the television thing, and being caught up in something that is disconnecting you from what we are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So there is actually now a golden substance in the ether that connects people without knowing it. We are not even conscious about it always, but through that, a lot of things will happen. And the work we are trying to do is to tell people about it. That through spiritual work, you can actually start to prepare yourself and open up. It is like before somebody was trying to reach you by the telephone, but you have put it on off sound, so you did not hear it. So you could not answer the call. Now you're opened up and you hear that it's going. Now you can take the phone and you can actually hear something. And maybe, just maybe, you understand that this is your own inner voice, your own inner guide trying to reach you. And if you want and have the courage, then you listen to what you are saying and start to act accordingly. And this is something that also was part of my education with the seer, to really clarify that process of connecting and also start to trust in the information. Even if there was a lot of times where I found out, it was not like this, or it was not, but to sharpen like when you train anything, you need to go through a training process.
Yeah.
But most important to me is also from the book, presence. To be present.
Yes.
And to really be there when you and find out what it is, the gift you have come to share with others. Found out what it is and start to share it.
Yeah, great. So now you call presence, which is kind of a meditative state, of course, but not like sleeping, but being awake.
Presence is being really awake, being really there.
And you talk about prayer. And could you say, so these are two very strong ways to reconnect with the voice within, with the voice of God. And do you say that there are more ways? In the book you also talk about a very beautiful practice you've done in the cave, where you connect with the angels and with the field of Jeshua within. Could you say something more about, are there more ways that people can just play and find themselves again?
Yeah. But that's a challenge, because when you understand that you are already enlightened, then your task, you only have one task, is to listen to your inner voice. And from there you will get the guidance. My prayers is just, or Naleea's prayers, whatever prayer, is just there as a guidance or inspiration. Your prayer, your words are what is important to you, because your experience is really what matters. My experience or other people's experience might be interesting for you to listen to, but I think we should not forget that when we read a spiritual book, for example, where the most miraculous and fantastic things are happening to some people in there, this is their experience. You have the same access to that field, and that's actually the message. Don't fall asleep and being entertained by other people's. It's like, I don't know how it is there, but in Denmark we had a television program for many years where there was a Danish guy who was sailing the 7 seas in a small boat, and he was doing all the experiences for all people who would like to go out there, but did not have the courage or the means. But I was just thinking that was very beautiful and it was inspiring. But why sit and watch that and look at other people's while you could be out there doing your own thing? Yeah. Sorry, I had to put that away.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's also very much part of this message.
Yeah.
Now, go and do it, you know.
Yeah, it reminds me, of course, of what you also share about what Joshua said. You will be able to do even greater miracles than I did. So
Exactly.
giving the power back
That's
instead of,
another thing, Jasper. It's all written, you know. If you take New Testament, it's all in there.
yeah,
Nothing
yeah,
that isn't
you
there.
just need to see it and make a switch. Because when you speak, I also realize and know that our system is upside down. You know, in our system, education and governments and everything, we learn that there's something above us that will tell us how to do, how to act, how to behave, and
Mm.
how to be a good boy, and all these
Mm.
things. And your message is actually turning it around. No, don't wait. Of course, be inspired, but find it within. So that's what we all need to do, don't we?
I think the book, like some of the other books, are also offering some methods that you can start with, some prayers and some meditations and stuff. There's a lot of things that you can go by if you need some inspiration. For my own path started really with prayer and meditation with the Russian Orthodox tradition, which somehow was very, very, it's just hit me somewhere. And I know now because it's very connected to the Essenes. I
Hmm.
have the same, I will not call rigidity to be rigid, but you know, you either you're pregnant or you're not. You cannot be, you,
Yeah.
you know. So it was, I was so close to go down to Mount Athos and try to become a monk there or something. And then I met the seer the week later, and of course I was not supposed to go there. I had been there, but you know, sometimes that is part of your reawakening, you know, that you attach yourself to former traditions that you have been part of. But that really, it hit me, you know. I understood the seriousness about it, you know, also to be genuine and not to fool around with it. I'd rather not do it if I'm not there, you know.
Yeah.
I will feel that it would be just to give myself the finger, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It would not be appropriate. So it is, do it when it's necessary, and there's
Yeah.
certain things I only do, for example, once a year,
Wow.
my own traditions, and then it means a lot when I do it.
I understand. You give it all the fire that there
Yeah.
is. Yeah. It also reminds me about a beautiful video clip that you shared about your meditation prayer in, was it in cave 4 also, or it was it a cave in Qumran, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you would like to share a little bit about it, but there's one thing that when you say that about people holding back a bit, is that also because people are a little bit afraid to step back into the light or feel like, who am I to step into the light or something like that?
There's many reasons. There's also people who do the opposite.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, it's really a balance, you know,
yeah.
because like being, I'm not worthy. I mean, that's really, really like saying, or you know, people they say they don't understand what it is to be, what humility is, for example.
Hmm.
Humility is actually to take upon you your gift and your responsibility without making any fuss about it. It's
Yeah,
not like crawling around and saying, I'm nothing, I cannot do that.
yeah,
Absolutely not. That is really, really, so, you know, there's many things that have been misunderstood through religion. And I feel that religion have earned itself a very bad reputation. And now you could say that religion is for those who are afraid of hell, while spirituality is for those who have been there. You know, so
that's a good
when you
one.
go
Yeah,
through some hardships, I feel that they are really part of your education here.
yeah,
And and when you come to a certain point, you will find out that those who dance are often ridiculed by those who cannot hear the music. Now the music is playing more than ever.
yeah,
And that's the thing, you know, that we need to open our ears and our presence toward it, because the golden substance in the ether is actually that music that we are talking about.
I understand. Yeah,
So and you can actually download it. as you yourself are working with, download that and manifest it through your guitar and your singing or whatever you're doing. You know.
Yeah.
That song has so many faces and so many frequencies.
Yeah.
But it's just there for us to open our hearts and arms and welcome it into our life and being.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful.
I really think when you were saying what is the work as well, it's like to bring normality to this, you know, to make, and that goes for two sides. So normality is, it could, like, it's of course abused as well, that word, but to bring spirituality into something that is normal, that it's completely fine to sit with closed eyes in the train and feel connected to everybody, or
yes,
as well, that it's not, that we don't have to do, it's wonderful to have symbols or like two candles or have incense or whatever. It's why do I do it for? Do I do it because it nurtures me, or because I want to create an image or something like that? So it's always to bring people back to the awareness, including ourselves, that what is nurturing us now, now. And that I think any form of practice, like if it's prayer, if it's just the awareness of the moment, like just widening the senses, or to me, blessing, for example, is such a wonderful tool to really step into this wider field, because I see blessing as well, talking about gold, I see blessing as like a stream of golden light coming from the person that is blessing towards either a person or a topic or whatever that is. And it really is like a golden sphere that is created then around, for example, in person. And it just is such a powerful tool, and to bring the normality to that, you know, that it's completely normal. It could be so normal just to live together like this, you know, and not to make that an NLP exercise or so, but to fill it with this grace that is really available, that is a reality, you know.
wow,
I think that
that's
the way to get that into, you know, and as well to step away from the circus of spirituality too, you know.
Beautiful. You both bring this balance to fully step into this power actually, and don't go walking around with it like, oh, I'm so special, or things like that. To keep the balance, and beautiful what you bring about the normality. This is our inner being. This is just what we're made of. Yeah, yeah, beautiful. And what it's really empowering what you say, that you tell that it's so present now, that this golden substance is just here, it's just pouring down on us, and we just have to open up and see how we can step into that and let it flow through us. And beautiful, this blessing. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Haven't we walked so far away from this normality that we think it's strange to hug a tree, and we think it's normal to cut down all of them?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
We'll be back. We are back, and it's streaming all sides, all directions. Okay, thanks a lot. And Lars, so you're almost coming to the Netherlands. We are ending this interview for today. Your book is translated and it can be pre-ordered. In Dutch, I will say it. It is Open your heart en laat je licht zien. So it is like, open your heart and show your light. It's actually exactly what we're talking about now. Step into this golden awareness and just let it flow anywhere. Is there something, we've got some time, so is there something about this book that we have not spoken about yet today? Of course, there's a much more, and people just need to go buy it and read it. If you're English, buy this one. If you're Dutch, buy the Dutch one, or both, whatever you want. But would you like to say something more about this book that we have not addressed yet?
I think there's, as you say, there's so many topics, and I think what we have been doing now is actually fine. I think. I don't know if Nalia have something to add.
I would
Okay.
Really just to come back again to what you do as well, Jasper, to the sound, to the presence of sound, to the awareness when we make a sound, if we sing or speak or just listen, so to speak. And that I think there's so much downloads in that I perceive as sounds in the book, because it's just it talks so much, for example, as well before the scene when there is the old brother in a light being form, the old scribe brother on the in the university grounds, and he's saying to Lars that, even when you say a prayer, you could, in the moment, you could just really know what words you want to say, and then just let sounds come through. And that in there, if you combine it with a pure intention, there's every transformation will happen, every understanding, every healing, whatever it is. So to me, that's as well the most precious message, which pops up in the book in many different places, that the intention and the presence through a voice, for example, or it could be anything like that, just vibrates through you. It could be a glance as well, but the intention is the most important thing. And that's like, what you always speak about, Lars, about the seer saying every day of his life, standing up, getting out of bed and saying, I hereby dedicate myself to the universe.
Wow.
Yeah. And that can be anything. I dedicate myself to love, or to peace, or to kindness, or whatever, everybody. But to do such a thing, for example, talking about what can people do, or such a thing, it's just like clearing your way, like massively. Because if you mean that, then then it's like what is it called in German? In German, it's Sterntaler, this fairy tale of the little girl who gives all her things away, and she receives them the golden stars, or the golden things.
Okay, yeah. I don't know, but
the golden substance.
Yeah, Sterntaler in German. So that's that. If you have.
Yeah, wonderful, beautiful. Yeah. So right now I am going to try to translate and to listen to the golden substance and see what kind of sound and words want to come. Thanks a lot for your beautiful sharing. So as you say, and as you've said a few times, both of you in this interview, the power of intention. Why do you do things? So this is what I will bring into this song. My intention is to listen to the golden substance, and to bring out whatever is good for anybody listening. So this is my intention for this song.
We can shine as diamonds in the sky, reach forward and walk as one. We can fly as eagles in the sky, reach higher and move on. Remember where you come from and bring it out and let it shine. It's time to find one another again, as a family, as friends. Shine like a diamond, free as an eagle. Open the pathway the doors now for a new dimension, a new dimension. Step into your place and know your inner grace is here for everybody around you. Shine on without a fear in your heart. Move on. Every day start and start again with a new way of being. Release yourself from anything that might burden you and shine open and free. This is your destiny. This is who you want to be. Let it shine, 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 shine free. 'Cause you are already free to be a diamond in the sky, in anybody's sky. Free yourself from anything that prevents you to fly free.
Thank you very much. Beautiful.
Mhm.
Let's all shine like diamonds in the sky.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, say it one more time. 17 December, 18 December, people can come and visit you. I will place the links where people can buy their entrance ticket. I will place the links with the video so people will just click on it and go find your way and have beautiful days.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Lars. Thanks, Nalia.
Thank you very much, Jasper.
Okay.
We will see you down there. Huh?
I can't. I am giving days myself.
You have what?
I am giving days myself. I have
Oh,
a group on Saturday and a group on Sunday.
oh, so sad.
Yeah.
No, another time then.
Another time, yes. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Take care now.
You too.